Hello, girls, guys, or otherwise. This is Rich, and welcome to our Witchy Book Club series. As per usual, we're going through the Inner Temple of Witchcraft. My copy is starting to look a little ragged, and I'm kind of loving it because it's showing that there is, use being had here. Anyway, we are going through lesson 9, which is chapter 13. But before we go on, a couple points of order. If you agree or disagree, or just want to drop me a note, go ahead and leave a comment in my pants below. Um, if you are not yet subscribed, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And if you like this video, go ahead and hit the like button and appease the algorithmic gods of YouTube. All hail the algorithmic gods of YouTube. And if you do not yet have your copy and you are going through, whether you are, um, seeing this video for the first time and want to go through the entire series with us, go ahead and get your copy. The link is in the description below. It is an Amazon link. It is not, I do not believe, an affiliate link. I don't think I have an affiliate link with them anymore. I do encourage you to buy from small businesses, local witchy shops and whatnot, if at all possible. Also, if you are lower on funds and you don't have the funds to buy this book, which can be a little bit of an expense. I think it's $20, I think, on Amazon. Go ahead and find it on like eBay, or get it used through Amazon and whatnot, in order to, at least get the material and read it, but save a little bit of money that way. Little note is, I did mention this on Twitter, and Christopher Penczak, the author of this book, did like the tweet. That was actually a reply to Devin Hunter from the Modern Witch podcast and other ventures like that. The Witch's Book of Power, the Modern Witch. What is it? The Modern Witch. Oh, where did my copy go? It's over there somewhere. The Modern Witch book. It's basically a spell book, and it's fantastic. I do recommend it. But the Witch's Book of Power, I believe, it's the Witch's Book of Power that is on Audible now. And I tweeted, I said, you're gonna be one of the ones, as soon as we're done with the Temple series, you're gonna be one of the ones that I'm going to be doing a book series with. And yeah, Christopher Penczak saw that and liked the tweet. I was kind of like fanboying out last night whenever that happened. Anyway, yeah. Sorry for bumping the mic there. Got to get my coffee. So yes, get your coffee, get your tea, whatever your drink of choice may be. Sit back, relax. Let's go ahead and go through this chapter. Again, that is chapter 13, lesson 9. This is entitled Spearwork. But before that, in the grandest of traditions, let's go back to our lessons of the week. I have had such a crazy week this week. Do a little recap. I have had such a crazy week this week. Not necessarily because of work, but because of the other studying that I have done. I am actually putting together the Witchcraft in the Bible series, and that has taken a lot of research and whatnot. I'm loving the research aspect of it. But that has kind of taken the front seat, so I can have accurate information and, be presentable of the information that I'm going to have in there. It may turn out to be a longer series than I thought. I was going to do a 2-part series, but it might turn into a lot longer than that, because there are a lot of verses that I want to cover, and I'll explain those on that one. So I didn't really get to a lot of the study portions of chapter 12. And if you see my hair is bad. Let me go ahead and adjust you guys there just a little bit. Bring it down just a little bit there. Yeah, my hair is bad. I need to get my hair cut. I've been doing it myself since quarantine. I'll probably do that Saturday night whenever you guys are probably watching this, but you won't see it until, like, you know, Terror Talk Tuesday, I think. Yes. Anyway, new assignments, or the assignments that were given in chapter 12 were exercise 26, which is psychic travel. I've done this before, so even then I didn't really see a need to do that. Starting a dream journal was the other one. I did not start a dream journal. I found my little digital recorder and I've gotten the batteries refreshed in that, and it's sitting in my bag waiting to be used. Have not used it yet. I just made sure that it still worked. Haven't really had that many dreams to record this week. There was one that was kind of odd that I should have put on the recorder, but that was before I even found the stinking thing. So, but yes, I am duly prepared, and I need to start doing that. Probably something that I'll start doing on my way to work, just grabbing it and on the car ride to work, just talking into it and whatnot. Continuing assignments from last week were daily journal, focus on regular meditation practice at least 3 times a week, if not daily. Usually something that I do in order to actually fall asleep is to meditate. And it's unfortunately had a side effect of every time I start to meditate, I fear of falling asleep, but it is the easiest way for me to fall asleep, is getting into that state, spending a little time there, and then, falling asleep, letting myself go. Honor and recognize your intuition, always, and using instant magic neutralization, light, and aura reading in your daily life. Not everything in my daily life. Yeah. So, anyway, and I've already spoken on those. Getting into lesson 13, or lesson 9, chapter 13 here. This was, 21 pages long? Not a terribly long chapter. We've certainly had longer. But a little long compared to the last one, I think. Anyway, doesn't matter. We made it through. We powered through. And we're going to just jump on into it. So, he starts off with, as walkers between the worlds, witches make allies in the spiritual realms. Okay, looking at one of the things that we've been doing is looking at the opening sentence, and kind of a nice opening sentence, not something hugely powerful like we've seen in past chapters, but this one is still a powerful sentence to start off with. Again, not something that is overwhelmingly powerful, but a strong opening. So this is on 237, and like I've said before, I am going to jump around. I do encourage you to read the entirety of the chapter, but I'm going to jump around and just say what page number I'm on, and go into it with the commentary, because we ain't got time to sit here and say, oh, down 2 sentences and you'll find this. No, ain't got time for that. Moving on. Paraphrasing here, it is wise to make contacts in this land, someone trusted to give information and lead the adventure on safe paths. Talking about whenever you visit, different lands in either the astral planes or whatever planes that you're on and whatnot, making contacts and having that system of trust there, that you trust them to lead you along a safe path. And a lot of this, and we're going to talk about it. Stop it. Jelly is misbehaving today. Everybody boo Jelly. Boo. Yeah, she wants attention. I can't fault her for that. Come on over. Come on. Okay, then stop coming over here. Whatever. Um, now you made me mess up. I don't even know where I was now. We're just gonna power through. Um, we're gonna talk here in a little bit about having um, discernment. That's the word I was looking for. No, start with a D. Having discernment in how you choose your uh, what you call it, your spiritual guides in whatever lands you are going in and whatnot. So we're going to talk about that here in a little bit. Let me go ahead and turn on the lights here. Give me 1 second. Give me a little bit of extra light on the page here. It's a little hard to read with minimal lights. He goes on to say, in general, a spirit refers to a non-physical being existing beyond normal space and time. This entity could have been physical at one point, living in a body, and after death transcending the physical plane, but still keeping in contact with it. I do agree with this. Moving on, the general theory is that these spirits, this is talking about ghosts and whatnot. The general theory that these spirits did not have a peaceful death, left some business unfinished, or had an unhealthy attachment to someone or something that remained in the physical world. Other spirits have never been physical, but always existed on other planes of reality. The beginnings of folklore and legends. Many spiritual systems align spirits and their areas of influence to hierarchies. Certain beings, often called goddesses, gods, elementals, fairies, angels, or demons, have the ability to aid humanity under certain conditions. I do agree with a lot of this, and I do think that a lot of this does hold water. Um, you know, it is a common belief of ghosts being attached to somebody or something, or having some sort of unfinished business. Um, Looking at people like Miriam Winkowski, who do a lot of spirit work. I think she has said, some of them have just outstayed the presence of the light, and they don't know how to get to the light and pass over to the other side. And that is basically the premise that she has put forth from her experience. And I have no reason to disprove that or to discard that opinion in any way. And it aligns with many other beliefs, is that, they stayed here for whatever reason, and it's building on it that there was this light presence, and whenever it went away, they just couldn't find it. Some of them get scared, some of them don't know what to do, don't know how to find the light, don't know, what's on the other side of the light, if it's good, if it's bad, whatever. Some are just simply scared. And that's one reason that, and I even talk about this in tomorrow's video with the Witchcraft in the Bible series part 1, I guess, that this is one reason that I do spirit work, is to be there to help those who have passed over, those who may have not gone into the light, don't know how to find the light, or they have kind of overstayed their welcome. They need to move on, to pass on. Or some of them just need to pass on a message. Maybe they have gone through the light and they just want to pass on a message to a loved one, or to somebody that they're, wanting to look after, something like that. We're on page 238. Spirit guides are non-physical beings. They aid humanity by offering personal advice, mystical knowledge, and magical partnerships. I can agree with this. Moving around here, or jumping around here, in some spiritual hierarchies, guides are believed to come from the same soul group or soul family as their human contacts, meaning a group of souls who remain together to learn and grow in a familial manner. This is a concept that I can get behind. Um, that, different souls travel in the same soul groups. We all meet up on the other side. We decide, hey, you're gonna be the one um, that guides me. You can stay on this side, and I'm going to go and work on this in the physical, and help me, guide me, do whatever. And this is part of a soul contract that you put forth on the other side to end up dealing with something. And in some cases, this can be seen as living out your karma, or living out a life to learn a lesson as a soul. And I can kind of get behind the whole soul family thing. That is something that I can relate to. That familiarness that you can have with another person that you may have just met. You can be like, oh, hey, we just met each other, but on some level, I know you somehow. One of those, like, I can't explain it, but I kind of know you for some reason. That type of thing. And I think this is, I think a lot of people out there can probably relate to that feeling of knowing somebody and not knowing why you know them, or feeling comfortable with somebody that you just met and not knowing why. It doesn't make any logical sense, but you feel, familiar. You feel comfortable, relaxed, like you've known them all your life. Moving on to 239. Regardless of origin, spirit guides serve as intermediaries between your conscious self and the higher self, and ultimately the divine mind. The mind can seem vast and unknowable, thus the need for an intermediary. Totally get behind that. This is like this can be called an angel. This can be called a spirit guide. It can be called just a messenger of some sort, which is, I believe, what the EL in angel, and that's why all angel names end in EL, is. I believe it's because it means messenger of, or it's something like that. I do believe. I'd have to look it up to be sure. But I'm pretty sure that's why EL is added at the end of all angelic names. Anyway, moving on. Let's stop with speculation, Rich. Unless you're sure of something, let's not say it. Anyway, we're moving on. And let's be honest, there is no way to absolutely be sure to have a factual reference of one thing over another, but that is something that we could actually look up. It is the etymology of the EL on angelic names. So, yeah, we're just not going to address that any further. I think that's why, but anyway, if you guys know, go ahead and leave a comment in my pants. Moving on, also on 239, other times they are ancestors who have passed before us in our genetic or spiritual lineage. Absolutely agree. I'm so glad that you touched on this point, and that is one reason that I have my ancestral pantheon. And for years, even before finding Sophia, is I worked with my ancestors. I worked with them for guidance, for wisdom, for knowledge of how I should move on depending on what situation and whatnot. And I am so glad that he put this in here, so I had to touch on that. Moving on, animal spirits can also act as guides and are most familiar to those following a shamanic or tribal path. I can agree with this. Um, we may touch on animals, spirits, and animal familiars in the future. I'm not going to really touch on it right now, but there are certain animals that will come into your life that may signify something that you need to learn. A lot of us call them totems. Um, that is more of a First Peoples verbiage on it, and that's something that a lot of us have co-opted. So it's kind of problematic using that term, but animal guides, animal spirits, and whatnot. Um, Saying it like that, I think, is more, you know, rounded view. And anyway, certain animal spirits or animal guides will come to you at certain times in your life. Maybe you'll have one that continues throughout your entire life, but there will be certain animals that come into your life, or certain guides that will come into your life for certain reasons, and those are things to take note of. Maybe if we get to the Temple of Shamanic Witchcraft, which I believe is pretty sure it's actually right behind me over here on the little podium that I have here. It's actually on the bottom shelf there. You can probably see it right next to my military bag right there. Yeah. If or when we get to that book, we'll probably end up covering animal spirits more there, I would imagine. Again, have not read through the entire book. Jumped around a lot in it, and I think it's good material, but have not read it cover to cover. This is one of the reasons I wanted to do a book club series. Anyway, moving on. I think we will touch on animal spirits later on in the accompanying books in the Temple series here. Moving on. Some students view guides as familiar winged angels. Angels are viewed as safe and comfortable for those fearful of spirits. Okay. He does mention in here that, I'm just going to continue reading it here. Some traditions of Wicca work closely with archangels. Conversely, a segment of people drawn to witchcraft often shy away from angels, feeling that they hark from Christian beliefs. But in truth, the mythology of angels goes far beyond Christianity. The bulk of information comes from Judaism, but roots can be found in Egypt, Sumer, and Tibet. Older sources of angels paint a portrait that is not exclusively that of the winged cherubs. Some are wheels of fire or fearsome beings with many eyes, which I have something with 2 eyes staring me down. Anyway, is this because we booed you earlier? Okay. Everybody say hi to Jelly. And you can't see her because the mic is in the way. Oh, you are adorable. Okay. You gotta get down, because if you bump the mic, it's gonna, be hard on everybody else. Anyway. Yeah, I wasn't originally going to touch on angels too much there, but I'm going to touch on them now. Many people do shy away from angels because of a hang-up with Christianity and whatnot. I have not worked with angels that much because I came from a Protestant background, like an evangelical background. I'm going to move you back because you're going to hit that mic and it's going to be loud. Anyway, I went, or I had an evangelical Protestant background, and it was kind of drummed into me that you do not... Hi. You do not work with angels. You work with Jesus, or you work with God themselves. You're going to come on my lap, and you're going to behave. But you work with Jesus, or you work with God directly. You don't, work with angels, because angels are there to work on behalf of God, not on your behalf. So that is one thing that was drummed into my head from Christianity, is that you don't work with angels. Now, those from a Catholic perspective may have a totally different perspective on that. So you may be fine working with angels. To each their own, just not something that I've really worked with. I am intrigued and I would like to work with them more, though. And I don't want to spend too much more time on this individual subject. We're almost at a half an hour mark here in a little bit. And we're only a couple pages in. So let's speed this up. He goes on to say, I have found that spirit guides typically manifest in ways the person is comfortable viewing. Agreed. I think that anything that comes in contact with you will have, as long as if they are not a spirit that has not moved on, a ghost, an earthbound spirit, they will probably, if they did not have a physical manifestation in life or anything like that, if they did not, I think that they would usually come to you in a way that is comfortable for you to digest. Having somebody that you're contacting freak out because of the way that you look is not exactly a good thing if you're there to help them. So I do think that they would come in a way that is more comfortable for somebody to see them. Moving on, spirit guides seek to facilitate that process by choosing, and he's talking about, he's talking about direct contact or awareness of new realities opens up. Spirit guides seek to facilitate that process by choosing shapes that we are comfortable viewing at first. Okay. Kind of stumbled on that sentence. Bear with me. Then he goes on to say, other guides manifest in forms that we have difficulties with, not to scare us, but to comfort, or confront us with our fears and prejudices. Let me read that again. Other guides manifest in forms that we have difficulties with, not to scare us, but to confront us with our fears and prejudices. I think this is important because sometimes you're going to be confronted with something that may be a little hard to digest. And he goes on to say in here, I believe, about one of his students that was all about females and did not want to have a male spirit guide or that masculine energy. The balance needs to be there, in my opinion. But she did not want to hear from any male or masculine spirit guides that were coming to her. She just turned them away. And one of the things that she found out or discovered about herself is that she needed that balance. And these spirit guides coming to her in a male form, in a masculine form, were there to facilitate her being more comfortable accepting that balance of the masculine and feminine. We're on 240 right now, and we're going into why call on spirit guides. And I only have one thing underlined in here. Practically, they have a great purpose. They serve as mentors. They can be called on to answer questions, help solve problems, point out our behavior patterns, give greater insight, provide confirmation to intuitive flashes, and ultimately give us spiritual support. I think that they play a fantastic role. I don't really, and I will be completely honest with you guys, I don't really work with my spirit guides as far as calling on them to be a facilitator, a mentor, or anything like that. They kind of work in the backgrounds. And I think one of the things that I need to work on is, going up to my spirit guide and saying, hey, who are you? What's your name? What do I need to learn? And kind of having that open communication with them rather than them just kind of dropping things, into my brain thing for me to pick up on. Going over to page 241, many practitioners of spirit work believe that you have not one guide, but several guides, working in one or more teams. Different guides assume different roles in your spiritual development and welfare, and often new guides have to be requested or invoked into your life to start an active relationship with them. Now, I do kind of disagree with this one, that new guides, that they have to be requested or invoked into your life. I think that from what I've heard from others is that the guides will come to you and they will say, hey, I'm working with you. They don't really always give you a choice. That was my understanding. And this is the first time that I'm hearing of, you need to invoke them sometimes. If you purposely want to go to something to work on, then I can see that. But whenever you are like your head honcho, your main spirit guide, whenever they say to you, hey, you need to work on this, or something like that, that is whenever the new spirit guide for whatever situation it is, comes into your presence, into your life. And did that just flicker, that light? I don't know. No telling. If you do see this light here flicker, it's something with the plug. It's not it's nothing supernatural there. Just saying. Then he goes into spirit guides, protectors, gatekeepers, healers, joy guide, runner, master teacher, and patron. And he gives a little description on those. It is worth the read. I'm not going to cover them here. Maybe in the future I might do a little more of a rundown of each one and make an individual video on each one. I don't think it's really needed, but if you guys really want it, I will do it. And kind of, expand on what he's already said here. So, she is looking at me hard, guys. Here, hold on. I'm going to move the mic just a little bit. There. Now you guys get a view of her. Hey, pretty girl. Yeah. She is being very good today. She was being a little bad earlier. She kept on bumping the mic and kept on doing this. And I've already told her armrests are not for cats. Excuse you. And she wants to, yeah. Okay. She's being loving, and I'm not going to discourage that, but you can't be on the armrest, baby. Okay. Because then she ends up bumping the mic and whatnot. Let me go ahead and move the mic back. Okay. We're going to move on here. We're going to stop just being mesmerized by Jelly. Can we see you there? There we go. Yeah, we can definitely see you. You being pretty. You being a good girl. We're going to move on to page 243 here. It's at the bottom. And I just spilled coffee on my book. Guess what? We just gave it the antique look. Okay, cool. We're just going to move on. It's only one page. It's okay. It's okay. And it holds up really well. Just saying. Anyway. We're going on to, are they real? And he says, the obvious answer picked by most people is no. They are figments of your imagination. At worst, they represent a psychological imbalance in which you are talking to people you think are real, who are not physically there. At best, They are a device used by your consciousness to have an internal dialogue. Your belief in a spirit facilitates the process of the inner conversation where insight and knowledge you are already possess can be woven into a more complete picture. Um yeah, I this is kind of the it reminds me of Pascal's what was it? Pascal's theory, or oh geez, what is it? Oh, come on. Pascal's wager. That's what it is. Where, if they aren't real, no real harm. If they are real, kind of a good thing that you're paying attention to them. Um, yeah, and I can kind of get on board with this. It's sort of a Pascal's wager type thing for me, and I don't like that. But yeah, I don't have a real problem with them if they're not real. If the things that I think and believe at the end of the day are not real, and this has all happened in my head. Again, I go to Harry Potter. Yes, of course it's all in your head. That doesn't mean it's not real. Um, at very least, for me, it was real for me. It was an experience for um, my life, for my being, and it doesn't mean that the things that I learned from it were not real. It doesn't mean that uh, the things I learned did not carry weight or were not beneficial for my daily life and whatnot. It just means that I came to a conclusion or a way of life that was not rooted in fact, and that's okay as long as if the experience itself um, was overall beneficial to my life. You are trying to steal the show. Okay. Moving on to page 244. Many proponents of the internal dialogue will say that the spirit guide is a manifestation of the lower psychic abilities to make an easier contact with the higher divine self. In essence, you are talking to yourself, but a higher, wiser part of you. Again, not something that's terrible. Even if everything is that we think and believe is wrong, um, the fact that at the end of the day you are seeking a wiser part of yourself is not a bad thing, um, as long as it benefits you for your best self. Um, Moving around here, when in contact um, with both, okay, I'm going to go back here again. Um, I'm going to go back by a sentence. The anima and animus helps. Okay, this is where he's talking about the male and female, or the masculine and the feminine. Okay, or balance gives us a balanced perspective of the masculine logical point of view and the feminine intuitive point of view. When in contact with both, we make balanced, well-informed decisions. So here he's saying about having a feminine spirit guide and having a masculine type of spirit guide, having them, having this balance in your life is important, because when we are in contact with both the masculine and feminine, we make balanced, well-informed decisions, and I do agree with that. We're going to skip a page here. We're going to go to 246, Fear and Discernment. One of the most interesting aspects of teaching spirit work is observing the various levels of enthusiasm or fear related to the experience. Jumping around, they fear what spirits they will conjure up and the possibility that the spirit will be evil. Our popular culture, from folk tales to Hollywood thrillers, depicts the spirit world as a hostile place filled with demons out to get us. I want to stop there. because this is something that I'm actually going to cover in tomorrow's video about discernment, um, within the aspect of one of the verses that I'm going to cover in tomorrow's Witchcraft in the Bible series. Having the discernment on what's on spirit contact, specifically on contacting spirits and doing spirit work in general, having discernment whenever you are talking to or taking the advice of a certain spirit that is reaching out to you. You need to make sure that the spirit that you're in contact with is who they say they are. From time to time, you'll get a spirit that's just a complete asshole, and they don't have your your wellness or your best interests at heart. They don't, and you need to have discernment whenever seeking out certain spirits that you're working with and whatnot, and whether or not they are good spirits to work with, or what exactly their intentions are. So, moving on to page 247, he has a little rundown of the word demon here, and I really kind of wanted to read this out. The word demon most likely comes from the Greek word daemon, meaning an intermediary spirit, one who connects humankind to the gods. That sounds like a spirit guide or angel, doesn't it? Historically, the gods of an existing religion became the demons of the conquering religion. That doesn't make one evil and the other good. It just means that one tribe is better at waging war than the other. If you research demonology, you will notice the similarities of the demons' names to old pagan gods. Though some would argue from a fundamentalist Christian point of view that the pagan gods were demons, they are only spiritual entities who are victims of bad press and a smear campaign. Come on, mouth. The only demons you should worry about are those of your own making, the personal addictions and unhealthy attitudes you bring into life. And I'm going to read one more paragraph and then we're going to discuss. Although you should exercise caution when doing any spiritual work, it is no more dangerous than physical travel and interacting with real people. Most spirits mean no harm. Some desire to help, and others may have your best interests at heart. With a little practice, you can avoid harmful spirits entirely. Okay. I do think that there are spirits out there, I would call them demons, that do not have your best interests at heart. And these can be trickster entities. These can be entities that are just pure evil. Think of a Jeffrey Dahmer-esque type of being out there, disembodied being that is just psychopathic or a psychopath or a sociopath, and just does not want anybody's, or does not have anybody's best interest at heart, running amok in the hereafter, bound to the earth. And an already evil type of person makes an evil type of being on the other side as a ghost figure. So, having that type of entity, possibly coming in contact with you, is not something that is good. Sometimes you get these entities that don't really have your best interests at heart, don't have anybody's best interest at heart. They just want to cause mass chaos. They are in it just for the chaos factor. And these are entities that I would call demons. Um, Historically, demons would be um, angels that were expelled and blah, 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 all that stuff. Um, and I could consider those as well demons, and I wouldn't have a problem making that correlation. But as I will say again and again, sometimes you just come in contact with a an entity, whether it's an earthbound or whether it's somebody that has passed over or gone into the light that just has a message to bring forward. Sometimes you're going to come across one that is just an asshole. And, you know, knowing how to deal with them and knowing how to expel them from your presence is a thing that you can do and you should know how to do. So definitely practicing those protection aspects and whatnot is something that you should do. Um, Most of them are going to either want help or want to give help. Um, so there's not a huge reason um, to think that excuse you, down. There's not a huge reason to think that every spirit that comes along is going um, to wish you harm. So I don't think there's a reason to freak out. Take it by a case to case, from a case to case basis. Um, Frankly, you're probably going to meet a lot more of the assholish ones and a lot more of the ones that mean to cause disruption early on. Uh, Especially if you don't practice, your protection and whatnot. You're probably going to meet those ones a little earlier on because you're putting out these signals that you're open and accepting um, people to come through and whatnot. And whenever they come around, they see that light and they're like, oh, hey, somebody's open and their protections are down and this and that. With time, you can put those protection shields up and let in only ones that you want to let into your life, into your sphere. So, moving on to the bottom of page 247. They fear what the guides will say. Many people are unhappy with life, but are more frightened. Let me go back a sentence or two because, yeah, I can't really remember exactly what this is talking about. Many shamans go through. Well, man, okay. Okay. I think that some people subconsciously don't want to talk to their spirit guides. They fear what the guides will say. Okay. Yep, I know where I'm at now. Many people are unhappy with life, but are more frightened to change than to keep suffering. And a spirit guide will urge you to change if you are not living in a balanced manner. Change can be a frightening aspect, or frightening prospect, sorry. When working with a new spirit guide, use your discernment. Does this feel right? Intuitively. In your heart, mind, and body. Does all of this feel right? I do agree with this. This discernment factor is huge when you're doing spirit work and whatnot. And I wanted to touch on, some of us, we stay away from our spirit guides, or we don't want to interact with our spirit guides because we don't want to change. Some of us think that we don't need to change in any way, shape, or form, which I would disagree with. I think even the most wonderful human beings out there still have a little something about themselves that that are in need of change. His Holiness the Dalai Lama, if I'm taking this out of context, and I very well may be, from what I've read, has said that if there were a female Dalai Lama, they would need to be very sexy and very sexual, and in their depiction and whatnot, or in the way that they present themselves. And And you know, that kind of shows a little bit of uh, the chauvinistic aspect of the Dalai Lama, of His Holiness. Um, and maybe that's not the way he meant it. Maybe that's the way it just sounded, and it was not meant to be that way at all, or meant to sound that way at all. Um, I don't know. I'm just using this as an example that I think everybody has something about themselves that they can change, and that they can adapt and become a better part of themselves. So yeah, moving on. He does have a section here on making contact. We're going to start at page 249 at the top here. Sometimes we receive a direct message, and other times it is just a flash of intuition, which is usually how I get them. But I know my guides are present. I think that many teachers and healers do this, some consciously and others unconsciously. Before doing any of the next exercises, sit quietly and say this or similar words. Now, yeah, I don't usually do this whenever working with the following exercises. I ask my highest and best guidance to be present. I ask to vibrate in harmony with the highest and best guidance and understand all messages given to me. It's a little too long, a little too wordy for my liking, for something that I would want to say every time. And I don't think it's necessarily needed every time. The reason being is because your spirit guides will know, you know, hey, I'm open, I'm ready, let's do this thing. They will know this. They will catch on to this, and they will be, you know, giving you signals and symbols and whatnot, and however you get your information. So, yeah. Anyway, I wanted to touch on a couple of these exercises here. He does talk about pendulums. I love pendulums, and actually mine is back there. I was going to grab it and pull it out for this, but I totally forgot that this was a topic here. I will be doing a pendulum video after the chakra series. I do believe it is the one following the chakra series. Hold on. I'm going to get my calendar out. Let's see. We will be covering pendulum work on the 12th of May, actually. So it's going to be a little bit of time, and that's for Witchy Wednesdays. So, and then I'm going to be doing Spirit Board. I have my Spirit Board. It's actually one of my most viewed videos, is how to use a Spirit Board and whatnot. It's a very old video, so I kind of want to redo that one. And I also kind of want to remake the Spirit Board and whatnot into something a little bit better that fits my practice a little bit more. And I'll talk about that in the pendulum video and the Spirit Board video that will follow it. He does say here, traditionally, clockwise motions mean yes, and the counterclockwise motions mean no. You should check in with your guides to find your own yes or no response. I have never had that traditional aspect. Yes to me has always been back and forth. No has always been right to left. Yeah, and I always get confused on which one, clockwise or counterclockwise. One means I don't know, and the other one's I don't want to answer right now. And yeah, I usually don't do, or I don't care which way it goes, clockwise or counterclockwise, because either you don't know or you're not going to tell me, and it doesn't matter. I just want the yes or no's. I do use my pendulum more for spirit work with a spirit board, so that's one reason I wanted to cover that one as well. So anyway, Yeah, I just wanted to touch on that. My pendulum has always swung a different way than is presented in here. He does go into muscle testing, exercise 28, and I really, really don't understand that. To me, it seems like I would be purposely doing something like he talks about muscle testing, and hey, if the answer is yes, this will break and whatnot. Like your connections will break, and if it's no, it won't, or something along those lines. If I'm remembering correctly, I read this just last night. And I should remember it, but it is very confusing for me. Muscle testing. It's not something I've ever really heard of, and I don't think I would do it because I would be influencing the answers themselves. However, with pendulum work, yes, you can influence the answers. However, you can also be more. Oh, excuse me. I am so sorry. You can be more conscious of whether or not you are choosing the answers or not. Automatic writing is interesting. This is exercise 29. Automatic writing is the process of letting go of your conscious mind and allowing your deeper psychic mind to control your hand, intuitively guiding the writing. I could never get automatic writing. I've tried it multiple times. I even have one of those little, like, the little spirit boards that you put like a marker in the little thing, and you go around as it's a thing. If I can find it, I will pull it out for whenever I cover the spirit board and whatnot, because it is an interesting item, and it's interesting how you can use it for automatic writing. You can do it with just your hand and paper and whatnot, and just go to town in a meditative state. I could never do that. It always came out like gobbledygook. It doesn't make any sense. It looks like a bunch of squiggles. There have been people that have done automatic writing through typing, and I believe there's a couple books out there on messages from the other side that were done purely from automatic writing. I do believe, I can't remember who did it, and I should have probably looked it up before this, but I'll probably cover automatic writing. You know what? I am actually going to try to cover automatic writing in June. Let's do that. June 2nd. We're putting it down. Automatic writing. And I will actually, I'll find the automatic writing board that I have, and we're going to go through that a little bit, and we're going to try a few tips and techniques and whatnot, and we're going to try it on a Witchy Wednesday. Why not? Clairaudience, conscience channeling is exercise 30. Clairaudience is the act of physically receiving information in terms of audio impressions one hears instead of seeing them. Yeah, I have a little bit of clairaudience where messages will come through and whatnot. A lot of it is a mixture slightly of clairvoyance, where I'm seeing little flashes of pictures and whatnot, or little scenes, little movies or whatnot, little gifts in my mind, and clairaudience where I'm hearing like talking or something like that. From time to time I do get that, but a lot of it is clairsentience, the clear sensing, where I'm just feeling that there's somebody there, and kind of the messages that they are passing on through a feeling. That's a big one. And claircognizance, the clear knowing, just kind of for some reason knowing that this is a thing and this is the message. All four of those kind of relate to one another, and they all play a part. Claircognizance and clairsentience are more powerful for me than the clairaudience and clairvoyance, but clairvoyance and clairaudience do play a good role in a good portion of the role in my practice. Anyway, that that was page 256, and 257 ends out the chapter with our exercise on clairaudience. And let's see, new assignments. Exercise 27 through 30. Complete and record your experiences in your Book of Shadows. Oh, that was the other thing. Okay. We're gonna hold for a second. I got a counter offer for eBay, which I think I might take. Exercise 27 through 30 complete. Okay, I already read that. I did want to say that I have not journaled every single day for this last week. I've done it here and there. Usually, like I said before, I try to do it at work. Some days were, half a page. Some days were 3 pages. It just depends on the day and what else I have going on. Again, most of this week I tried to do research on the topic for tomorrow and the following weeks that will be happening for that. As far as the exercises, I will probably definitely do the pendulum exercise because I've done that before. The muscle testing, probably not. It's just something that I think I would have too much influence. And automatic writing, I will definitely try again. And clairaudience, yes, definitely doing that. Maybe not in the specific way that he describes here, but yeah, let's see. Counting down, good. Tune into vibration, yeah. Speaking to the guide, yeah. Are you guys seeing this? This is insane. And what do you need to know for how it's good? Okay, yeah, I'll probably go by that one. Yeah, I think I can dig it. Next part is build a relationship with your guides before you meditate. Invite them into your space to guide and protect you. When you are done, thank and release them. If you have questions in your life, seek out answers from your guides. Sorry for the mic there. Jelly got onto my lap. If you find questions in difficult situations, call on your guides to help. Okay. Jelly, you gotta quit hitting the mic there, baby. Oh, look at this sweetheart. And she doesn't like to be held. But she is adorable. Okay. Anyway. Yeah. So, yeah, probably definitely going to try to contact my spirit guides because I have not worked with them very often, directly. I know that they're there. I just haven't reached out to work specifically with them. To me, it's always been more ancestral work and whatnot. So yeah, probably something I should do is contact my spirit guides and try to work with them more often directly rather than, just with my ancestral pantheon. Continuing assignments, daily journal, write 3 pages a day. Yeah, excuse me for yawning there. Maybe. I would suggest at least one page. Here I am some days not doing any, but I'm trying. Continue with the dream journal. Again, I'm going to be using my voice recorder, my digital recorder, and transcribing from there because, yeah, I need something that's on the go. And focus on regular meditation practice. Yes, of course, at least 3 times a week, if not daily. Honor and recognize your intuition. Continue to ask it questions, of course. Instant magic, neutralization, light and aura reading in your daily life. Maybe not. Tips. If the usual method of muscle testing does not work for you, there is an alternative method. First, take your first finger and thumb on each hand and create a ring, but link the rings together, of each hand together, like links in a chain. Ask your question and try to pull the links apart. If the link breaks, the answer is no. If they stay together and the answer is yes. This particular technique is difficult if you are prone to sweaty hands. Yeah, see, this is one reason why I won't do the muscle testing one, because I have too much outside influence on it, too much conscious influence on it. So yeah, I don't think I'll be doing the muscle testing one, to be honest. Anyway, just being completely honest with you. That is all of Chapter 13. Join me next week for Chapter 14. We're moving right along. If my calculations are correct, we will be completing this book, The Inner Temple of Witchcraft, by the end of April. Join me next week for Chapter 14, Lesson 10, The Inner Temple, which, guess what? It's The Inner Temple of Witchcraft by Christopher Penczak. Yeah. Overall, this chapter I thought was good. I love spirit work, so it's something that, does speak to me. As a person that does spirit work and enjoys it. As somebody that is always there trying to help a spirit or help somebody in need. I'm all about the spirit work. So, yeah, I did enjoy this chapter. I think it has a lot of information in there that should be known, or should be realized before undertaking spirit work. Spirit guides is definitely a thing that should be worked with, I do believe. And yeah, I think that me waiting this long to actually get in touch with my spirit guide directly is probably something that I should have done a lot sooner and heeded the advice of others a lot sooner. So yeah, don't be a me and work with your spirit guides. Anyway, that's all that I have for the Witchy Book Club series. Again, that was the Inner Temple of Witchcraft, chapter, what was that, chapter 13, right? Baker's Dozen? Yep. Join me again next week for chapter 14, whenever we continue our series. Until then, make sure you tune in tomorrow for the Inner Temple of Witchcraft that's on Sunday. On Tuesday we have the Ten of Swords, and on Wednesday we are covering the Sacral Chakra, and on Thursday, of course, we have Table Talk Thursday. So 5 days a week, join me every single one of those. And until next time, may you have love, hugs, and ladybugs. Bye-bye.